In one of his most provocative takes yet, Mark Driscoll says something pretty insane about Catholicism and priests. Let's talk about it. Now, full disclosure, if you watch my channel, you know this. I'm not a Catholic. I don't agree with Catholicism, and I want to have dialogues with more Catholics, and there's some videos coming out soon with regards to Catholicism that I'm very excited about. Hope that I can have some good conversations with people very, very soon who are Catholics. But here's Mark Driscoll. He posted this video, by the way, 11 months ago when he was speaking at a men's conference. And he says the problem with Catholicism, and then in parentheses, Catholic guys aren't healthy men. So if you're a Catholic guy watching this, you're about to find out why, in fact, you are not healthy. This is an example of when pastors, I think, get lost in the sauce, to use the term. They just get a little out of touch, and they don't really think about what they're saying here. I really think that this is just not very well thought out, but you'll see why.
Go into the Western church, go into Christianity, and there's Catholics and Protestants. I was raised Catholic. I love Catholics. There are Catholics that love Jesus. But part of the problem with work in Catholicism, especially for men, the leader is the priest. And the priest is committed to poverty and chastity. Just so you know, that's my unbucket list. My unbucket list is
okay, what he's about to say is pretty offensive to Catholicism. That's a funny statement to make.
Poverty and chastity. I don't want to die a broke virgin at the church. In fact...
Okay, that's where I stop laughing. Again, notice that. He's saying the problem with Catholicism is that the guy, the leader figure, the priest, is a broke virgin, and that doesn't exactly inspire men to go out and be great men, because they have a broke virgin, to you again, that term, at the helm of local Catholic church.
I promise you that's not how I'm going out. And so, but within that, it doesn't bring the healthiest men, and it doesn't encourage and inspire men. Because if the leader is, well, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have kids, he doesn't own anything, he's not building anything, and he's not responsible for anyone, it's really hard to admire that guy.
Oh man, that's a rough thing to say. I mean, surely he's got to know Catholic priests with his circle as big as it is. Surely he's got to know Catholic priests and realize, man, that's a pretty crazy thing to say. Again, I'm not a Catholic. I disagree with a lot of Catholicism. But the idea that if you are a virgin who has made an oath for celibacy and you don't make a lot of money, that you can't inspire men as a man, that's rough. Now, I'll talk more about it in a second.
It's really hard to say, I want to be like that guy. No, I don't want to be like that guy. I want to get married, want to have kids, want to build a company, want to generate some revenue, want to leave a legacy. The only thing that makes sense and makes work meaningful would be the view of the Protestant Reformation.
Wait, and now he's going to talk about how in Protestantism, the men are more strong and healthy because at the top, there's not a bunch of broke virgins, basically. Again, this is like a really hot take from Mark Driscoll here. Really offensive on this. I'm not even a Catholic, and it's just an offensive take. And it actually reminds me of something. The central criticism I would have of this actually takes me back to my time when I was getting my training to be a minister, and I was in Bible school, in preaching school. And I remember once there were two preachers kind of having a debate, or two preachers in training, let's say, having a debate. One of them was raised in a Christian house, and he had a loving, godly family for the most part, and great Christian family. And so he was always kind of raised attending church services, was pretty shielded from a lot of the stuff in the world. And then the other one was raised really just all out sin and lived a big sinful life in his adult years, and then later came to Christ and then started becoming a preacher. And the one who had lived that big sinful life and didn't really have the Christian upbringing was telling the younger man that did have the Christian upbringing, you will never be able to inspire the people in the pews the way I can inspire people in the pews. And why? Well, because you haven't done all the stuff, the sinful stuff that I've done. You haven't committed as many sins as I've committed. Again, you haven't just done all the evil. So how could you inspire people when basically your whole life has just been a bed of righteousness and seeking God and loving Jesus? I think it was the young man that said it, or someone that came to his support. They told him this: okay, let's take your logic for a second. What does that therefore say about Jesus? What does that say about Jesus if you can't be inspirational and influential for someone to seek God because they've had a very innocent life and they haven't been an all-out sin at any major point of their life? what does that say about Jesus? I mean, just objectively speaking, he would be the very worst kind of preacher to have. And Jesus, by Mark Driscoll's definition, could be called a broke virgin. Though he was rich, for your sakes, the Bible says, he became poor. Jesus never had a wife. Jesus never engaged in anything like that. And so, therefore, by Mark Driscoll's own standards, Jesus does not inspire men. Jesus is not an example of manliness. And this is where I say you start to get lost in the sauce a little bit as a preacher sometimes. You think you're making a great point, and you don't realize you're actually disrespecting Jesus and saying, you know, I'm so much of a man that even Jesus is not man enough for me. I'm so much of a man that the only kind of man that is a real man is the kind of man that wants to build his own business, the kind of man who's going to have a big family. That's the only kind of man that there is. And no one else really, it's really hard to get inspired by them because, I mean, they're just not real men like me, and Jesus included. That's how you know you've lost the plot a little bit. Mark Driscoll didn't include Jesus, but his logic directly includes Jesus. Even the comments are eating him alive on this. I'm a robust Protestant, but I think this is a swing and a miss. Chastity is not unmanly, and that is true. There's a high level of respect I can have for someone like Jesus, for example, or let's say the Apostle Paul, who is willing to deny his flesh for as long as he lives for the sake of the gospel. Or when Paul was telling people in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, you know, if you are not married, I would recommend you don't marry if you can handle that so that you can just focus 100% during this time on the gospel. I have such a massive level of respect for men who say, you know what, I will forego those blessings for the sake of the gospel and the gospel alone. Are you kidding me? That's not inspiring? You're getting lost in the sauce when you're saying that that's not inspiring. You're losing the plot. You're losing touch a little bit. Another one said, wild take. Good luck, sir. A man dedicating his entire life to God to me is amazing. Yes, absolutely. Driscoll, we ought to imitate Christ. Also Driscoll, I don't want to die in poverty and a virgin. Wait, didn't Christ? Yes, Jesus died a poor virgin. Again, I wouldn't call Jesus a poor virgin because that sounds so disrespectful. It's being used in an insulting way, but his very logic applies to Jesus, and what a horrible thing. Oh, look, someone even brought up the verse that I just mentioned. Jesus, Paul, the unmarried man is anxious about the Lord and how to please him. The married man is anxious about the world and his wife and how to please her. Again, how does that not inspire confidence? I actually love that the comments seem to be 100% against him here, because what a miss. And to leave this video up is pretty crazy. But let me know what you think. I mean, am I too harsh on him here? I think that's one of his hottest takes ever and one of his worst takes ever. I know a lot of people don't like Mark Driscoll. I like some of the stuff that he's done. Again, there's been some shenanigans in the past, and with a lot of megachurch pastors, there have been. I mean, they're in such a public light, but this is such a crazy thing to say. I don't know if he has like ghostwriters or whatever, people to help him out, but the fact that like, I mean, it seems like he didn't run this past anybody. And because I think if you run it past just one guy would tell you, dude, don't say that. You're saying that Jesus is not man enough for you. You're saying that Jesus is not man enough to inspire men just because he doesn't go the normal general route for men. Again, the idea of that is just absolutely insane, because there is another route that God does teach about, which is being an unmarried person for the course of your life and to just focus on the gospel. And the idea that can inspire, again, unbelievable. But let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider supporting on Patreon. Again, I got some great dialogues, Lord willing, coming up down the pipe. I'm trying to get all this stuff nailed down, and I'll let you all know about that stuff very, very soon. But God bless you all. I love you very much, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. By the way, it's kind of terrible that I shaved my mustache right before doing this video, so now I look objectively less manly.